Hello, my friends, and welcome to Kitsune Readings, where your questions find answers.
Hello, my friends, Ryu here. Today we're going to talk about Breakout the Arcade game from 1976. Single-player brick-breaking variation of Pong ball and paddle mechanics. Pong's ball and paddle mechanics. Breakout was created by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, who would later form Apple. The working prototype came as a surprise to Atari's head of engineering, Al Alcorn, as it was not an assigned project. So, why this is important. Jobs, Steve, I should say, Jobs and Wozniak had a falling out because Jobs got a huge bonus for the game, which he lied to Wozniak and said it was smaller. They later went on to form Apple. And the thing about that was that this game and their time spent at Atari influenced strongly the Apple II's computer they made, and Wozniak wanted it to play games in color. So it had a very specialized chipset. So Wozniak famously minimized the chip count, creating a highly efficient design, and it took him about 4 days. Jobs hired him and tasked him with designing the game. Steve Wozniak was a good friend of his. Apple was founded April 1st, 1976. Their stint at Atari with Steve Jobs was primarily between 1974 and 75. This game was a huge game, and it had a strong cultural impact as well. The Apple I was the debut product of Apple. The computer company released it in 1976. It sold for $666.66. Now, Wozniak chose the price because he said he liked the repeating digits. Gee, that number represents something else. Anyway, it was a very innovative product. And later on, we got the Apple II. Anyway, let's take a look at Breakout. I'm not very good at this game, but this is what an arcade game looked like in the 70s. This is really interesting. A very popular arcade game. As you can tell, I'm horrible at this. But it led to a lot of clones and other games of a similar style, such as Arkanoid. So this wasn't even a project that was official. They just sort of made this game on the side. Atari decided they liked it, and it became a huge hit. Man, I'm terrible at this game. I like the prisoner guys it has on the cover. That's pretty funny. This is what our arcade games looked like in the 70s. Oh, right. Oh, man, I can't play this game for Jack. But the game is still fun. It made a lot of money, sold lots of units as far as I know, and everyone loved it. It's interesting that the founders of Apple made this game before officially launching the Apple Computer Company. That's right, the same guy that brought you the iPhone and the Apple iMacs and the colored computers of the late 90s. Apple always advertised itself as making very high-end products. But I've never been an Apple guy. I've never used Apple products really. Though I must confess I did briefly have an iPhone. My problem with Apple computers, particularly back in the day, you could not get parts for them, and you couldn't get them fixed anywhere. You had to send it to the company, they had to fix it and send it back to you, right? So now we have the Right to Repair Act where people can get their stuff repaired anywhere. Apple also got sued in the European Union area because they're demanding Apple make everything standardized rather than you have to buy separate stuff. So Apple has always been like that. And that's why I had a PC. My friends were like, "Oh man, you should have an Apple." Pfft. Apples weren't good at playing video games back then anyway, and I was more of a gaming guy myself. Big fan of EverQuest. And I was like, my PC, if it breaks down, I can fix it myself. I can just go get the parts. I don't have to send it anywhere. I can fix my PC in hours and minutes rather than sending it to Apple and spending weeks without a computer while I wait for them to fix it and or ship it back to me. So that was my problem with Apple. Still, the guys who founded Apple made this game. And it's fairly interesting because before looking all that up, I was not aware of this. I didn't even know that those two worked for Atari at one point. That's some interesting gaming history. Steve and Steve of Apple once worked for Atari. That's amazing. Now, Apple, arguably, is an incredible company. Highly successful, highly profitable. I just didn't agree with how they did things, so I was not a buyer of Apple products. Alright. After this round, I'll stop being terrible at this game. But, I'm glad they included the arcade version of this. We're playing this on the Atari 50th collection, by the way. And I like that because, well, I like the collection, I mean. Because I'm glad to own these games in an official capacity. And it's fun to play the arcade games of yesteryear. But this has been Breakout, a very cool game for the Atari. I mean the arcade, published by Atari, created by the Steve and Steve who founded Apple. That would be Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. I hope I pronounced his name right. But cool game. I like it. And I'm glad to share it with you. This has been Breakout from the arcade in 1976. Thank you for watching the video and being with here on this short journey in gaming history. I love you all. Thanks for watching the video. I will see you all again very soon. Remember, friends, I believe in you. You can and you will achieve your dreams. Thanks for being here and have a great day.